Alright, yo, we back for another video. We got another one. Alright, so we made it through the general provisions in Article 1. Now we on Part 2, which is general definitions and principles of interpretation. Okay, so general definitions, I normally keep that open. So right here, so general. Alright, so this is the definitions. This is right before the one. So you want to have this up when you're reading, so that way you can have a context understanding. Alright, there we go. 1-202. Notice, knowledge. Okay, so Congress and our in our governance, we have Congress who makes the law, right? So this is them making the law. The judge interprets the law, right? And the executive branch enforces the law. Okay, so this making of the law, this is giving you what the law is with relation to the Uniform Commercial Code. Okay, so notice, right? So subject to subsection F. All right, so this is what we gotta do when you read subsection F. Go down there real quick. All right, so what does it say? Notice, knowledge, or a notice or notification received by an organization is effective for a particular transaction from the time it is brought to the attention of the individual conducting that transaction, and in any event from the time it would have been brought to the individual's attention if the organization has exercised due diligence. So an organization exercises due diligence if it maintains reasonable routines for communicating significant information to the person conducting the transaction, and there is reasonable compliance with the routines. So due diligence does not require an individual acting for the organization to communicate information unless the communication is part of the individual's regular duties, or the individual has reason to know of the transaction and that the transaction would be materially affected by the information. Okay, so except all that, right? A person has notice, right, of a fact. Remember what down there we're just talking about notices and stuff, right? And organizations receiving something and someone acting within their, okay? So notice of a fact, if the person has actual knowledge of it, they got actual knowledge, right? Or 2, subject to subsection F, a person has notice of a fact if the person has received a notice or notification of it, right? So a person is also an organization. That's why I talked about an organization down in subsection F. All right, so look, person. Let's go just to show, right? Person. All right, person. All right, and it means an individual, corporation, business trust, state trust, partnership, limited liability company, association, joint venture, governmental subdivision, agency or instrumentality, public corporation, or any other legal or commercial entity, right? So they don't mention organization, right? But we can contextually, because remember how it was telling us the general provisions, right? That organization should be lumped up in that, because the context doesn't really say that it can't. You see what I'm saying? An organization is an entity. So we're going to assume that this person is this organization that's receiving these notices or a notification of it, right? Or, right, stop right here. All right, so subject to subsection F, a person has notice of a fact if the person, from all the facts, this organization, if a judge is looking at it from all the facts and circumstances known to the person at the time in question, breach of contract, they got it, they didn't do something right under the contract, right, has reason to know that it exists, right? All right, so they have notice of it. Okay, so we're going to read that. I would say read that 3 more times. Okay, so B. Knowledge means actual knowledge. Right? So what they say up here? A, it says, has notice of a fact. 1, has actual knowledge of it. So they're mentioning actual again. So knowledge means actual knowledge. So they have actual notice and actual knowledge. Okay? So it means actual knowledge. Knows has a corresponding meaning. So they know it or they have knowledge. Okay, so C, discover, right? Learn, right? Learn, or words of similar import, right? So synonyms of discover or learn refer to knowledge rather than to reason to know. Okay, so what is this section talking about? Because so let's see, hold on. So 1/202, let's see. So this is principles of interpretation. Okay, I should have mentioned that. So this is talking about principles of interpretation. Okay. So, all right, so D. A person notifies, remember, your person, you have your own person, you. All right, your person given to you by the government, right? Your person, which is a person, notifies or gives a notice or notification to another person, entity, estate, trust, organization, business entity, right? By taking such steps as may be reasonable, required to inform the other person in ordinary course, whether or not the other person actually comes to know it, right? So you know you're notifying somebody, or your person is notifying somebody when it gives, or you notify a notice or notification to another person, which is a letter, right? A letter, a piece of paper, right? That's all how we gonna communicate, right? Email, letter, right? Modern times. We ain't talking about back in the day, right? All right. By reasonable, required to inform the other person in ordinary course whether or not the other person actually comes to know of it. Okay, so we're gonna stop right here.